Peter, how are you?
Never been better.
So when did you get word?
We were just going to do a statement first, then you guys can ask questions.
Plus I didn't hear the questions. I just want to say that I'm sure you've heard today that Blair Lekstrom has submitted his resignation as Minister of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources. That requires a number of steps from us, but I should tell you that Blair has informed me and the Cabinet and the caucus that he felt that we should halt the HST at this point, to the movement to the HST. He said that he supports, and he recognized he supported the HST, but that he felt that there was enough public response that we should halt the HST and have a discussion with taxpayers with regard to what our tax system is, how it works, and the services they require. Obviously, Cabinet did not feel that that was a step that we could take. We feel it's very important to carry forward with the HST to secure the long-term future of the province. I know that you'll all recognize we've already spent significant resources from the agreement that we have with the federal government. So we are carrying forward. Blair has stepped aside both from Cabinet and from the caucus. We certainly recognize and I respect the work that Blair Lekstrom has done for us and for the people of British Columbia, both as an MLA and as a minister. I think the Clean Energy Act, which he helped carry through the legislature in the spring session of this year, will be a long-term and lasting benefit to the people of British Columbia and to our economy. Having said that, I respect his decision. I'm disappointed by it. I would have preferred him to stay with this, but he felt personally that he could not remain, and I understand that and respect it. We clearly disagree with regard to this, and so those are the steps that we've taken. So I appreciate the work he's done. I appreciate the manner with which he has dealt with this, which is upfront and openly, and we will get on with building the economy and the future of the province.
When did you have that conversation in Cabinet about the possibility of consultation?
Blair talked with us briefly on Wednesday, or not briefly, he talked with us on Wednesday. We discussed his position with him, asked that he think about it. He thought about it. I talked to him last evening. He said he felt he still wanted to move ahead. He provided me with a letter of resignation this morning. He asked specifically that he be able to speak to the caucus. He had the opportunity to do that this morning, and that's.
Would you agree this is a major blow to your government? You've been in office now for 9 years. You've not had anything remotely similar to something like this. This has got to count as a major blow.
Yeah, I think this is significant. I think that but it's also important. I've always tried to have a caucus in the government where people felt comfortable saying, what they believe. I think that is how, frankly, our parliamentary democracy works most effectively. And as I say, I respect Blair's decision. It in no way undermines, I think, the initiative that we undertook. I think he's pointed out what we've said all along. This was something that we faced last July. We took it on. We made the decision not because we thought it would be popular.
Did you require that he step out of the caucus?
No.
Why did he divorce you completely rather than just resign?
You'll have to ask Blair those questions.
He made those decisions.
Just one
Do you
question at a
think
time.
this is the last resignation you're going to see over this?
I was surprised by this. I think that all of us are aware of the situations that are taking place. The politics of this. I think it is important to note that the caucus agreed we should do this last July. They knew that it was not going to be popular. I've been involved long enough to know, and I knew the kind of response that we get. Obviously, we have not done a good job of communicating the benefits of the HST. I've said that consistently. We're in a position now where candidly, we're running to catch up. We won't be able to actually get out there and talk to people directly about these issues until after July the 5th. There's been a significant amount of misinformation. The caucus is aware of that. I take responsibility, they take responsibility, and we're going to move on to do exactly what we said in the election, which is try to strengthen the economy and make sure that we're stronger when we come out of this downturn than when we went in. We're seeing benefits from that now. I think the public will see that a lot of the information that they have had from some of the opponents to HST is incorrect when the HST gets put in place. But there's a process underway right now. There's an initiative underway right now, and as I've said, we honor that piece of legislation. We'll follow through with that piece of legislation, as we said.
Hang on a second, just a moment, you guys.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Justine,
Yes,
go
John.
ahead.
Back to the question, do you think this is going to be the last resignation we see over this?
I wasn't expecting this to happen at all. So I actually am very confident in the strength of the caucus and the strength of the cabinet, and I think that we've seen throughout this week, we just had a very successful dinner last night. No one's suggesting that this has been a popular move. We think it was the right thing to do, and sometimes you have to do what's right, not necessarily what's popular.
Could a member, could a,
Justine can go next.
Just in terms of what this is going to do to that, the strength of this anti-HST movement, when you've got a member of your cabinet is not willing to stand by on this.
I think frankly, I think most of that is separate from what's taking place in Victoria. No one is suggesting that this has been, we all understand what's taking place in communities around the province. I also understand that we frankly should have done a much more aggressive job of informing people about how the HST worked, about why we think it's beneficial in terms of jobs, in terms of economic growth.
Liberal members have been quitting and leaving the party in considerable numbers since this HST thing. Have you had any discussion with the party executive about this, and are you worried about it?
Actually, we had a provincial council conversation this week, and it was very constructive. And actually, they were pretty positive. Their major concern for us is we have to get out there and talk to people about why we did what we did and how we did it, confront the mistakes we've made, and I think that's important to do, and to point out to them why we think it was an important decision. And they've been very supportive as we've gone through that, both the provincial council and the executive. I've said it before, I intend to go around the province over the next number of months and point out why we did this and why we think it's important.
could a member of your caucus remain,
Dirk, go ahead.
Do you think this opens the door for a third political party in British Columbia?
I think that frankly, one of the things everyone should be aware of with the initiative is there are people that want to try and give life to a third political party in British Columbia. I think we know that Chris Delaney was very actively involved in BC reform first, and with Bill Vander Zem there, and then he was involved. Surprising they called the legislature back.
Something you didn't know?
That's another thing, that's another surprise. He actually actively involved himself in the Conservative Party, I think maybe a couple of other parties. So I think that's clearly been one of the things that's motivating him. I think it's interesting that his was the only party that actually put HST on their platform and said we should be moving ahead with it, but those are his choices. I do think that British Columbians are aware of the fact that when you have a fragmented center coalition, free enterprise coalition, the opposition has a pretty easy route to government, and that's one of the things they'll have to consider over the next 3 years.
could a member of your,
Premier, I'm sorry, but you just lost a key cabinet minister. You're facing possible recall in the fall. The public hates this tax. Can your government survive the HST, and can your leadership survive the HST?
I believe so.
could a member of your caucus remain in caucus and be publicly opposed to the HST?
Well, the caucus decided this, and the caucus voted on this in the budget. So if they decided that they now don't have a feeling about that, I've always encouraged caucus to speak their minds. I've encouraged free votes in the House. There's no ramifications. I think Blair's a great example of that. Blair often voted against government and different things, and he was in cabinet. My major objective with caucus is to make sure that they are working together, they're working openly and honestly, and we're doing what's best for British Columbia.
Thanks, everyone.
Actually, one from Jonathan.
Did you or the cabinet give any serious consideration to the 6-month delay that Blair has suggested, 6 months to a year? When he said, when you talked to him this morning, he said delay it for 6 months to a year, have an honest consultation. If people don't want it, have a consultation about what people want instead. Is that something you could honestly consider?
It's actually, it's from my perspective, there is an agreement with the federal government, Jonathan. That agreement has been carried forward. We have almost $1 billion already that we have budgeted. We had about $250 million last year that we already used. We've already spent the dollars from that agreement. We have $700 million plus this year that we are investing from that agreement in health and education. I believe that we should allow the initiative to carry forward, and we'll obviously be engaged in a discussion around that. Should there be recalls, there will be discussions around that. And that's one of our obligations as elected officials, to make decisions that we think are in the best interest of British Columbia, to do what we committed to do, which is to strengthen our economy, to create jobs in every part of this province, and to be held to account for that. So we will certainly have to engage in this discussion. We will continue to engage in this discussion. I think it's always better to do what's right than what's popular or what seems to be expedient.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you all very much.